Sharad Pawar has been smiling and waving all this time. I wanted to show you those pictures of what his body language was like yesterday and what it's like today. It's an angry Sharad Pawar who has issued a direct warning to his nephew Ajit Pawar, who has just split the NCP and joined hands with the BJP. Sharad Pawar has wagged an angry finger and warned Ajit Pawar not to use Sharad Pawar's picture in his new outfit. But in the inauguration of Ajit Pawar's new so-called party office near the Mantralaya in Maharashtra, lo and behold, is a big picture of Uncle Sharad Pawar himself. The messaging is very clear. There is defiance in Ajit Pawar, but there is also respect. Remember, he hasn't taken on his uncle directly, even though his uncle and his uncle's daughter, that is his cousin Supriya Sule, have declared open war on the defectors. It's open season inside the NCP. Pawar versus Pawar goes to the next level. And ahead of that big meeting and strength of numbers in Maharashtra tomorrow, today is going to be cloak and daggers and a great deal of shadow play over who is really on top, who has the advantage and who's going to come out with the gold in their hand. That's the big story we're tracking here on 5 Live. Ahead of the 2024 battle, mega BJP rejig across multiple states. G. Kishan Reddy takes charge of Telangana. Bandi Sanjay ousted ex-Congress stalwart Sunil Jakar to head the BJP's Punjab unit. Finance portfolio becomes sticking point for Mahayuti. Pawar's NCP faction demands lucrative finance and planning portfolios. Shinde camp objects. BJP heavyweight Yediyurappa drops a bombshell, says BJP and HD Kumaraswamy's JDS will come together to fight the Congress.
Whatever Kumaraswamy is telling is true, and I am going to support Kumaraswamy's statement. And Kumaraswamy and we together will fight in future.
Prime Minister Modi hosts virtual Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit with Putin, Xi and Pak Prime Minister Sharif in one frame. Talks tough on terror and hits out at countries sponsoring cross-border terrorism, including Pakistan and China, but doesn't name them.
कुछ देश क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म को अपनी नीतियों के इंस्ट्रूमेंट के रूप में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, आतंकवादियों को पनाह देते हैं। एससीओ को ऐसे देशों की आलोचना में कोई संकोच नहीं करना चाहिए।
Uttarakhand Chief Minister Dhami meets Prime Minister Modi, says Uniform Civil Code will be implemented soon, but no decision will be made in haste. And we're kicking things off with breaking news coming in a day ahead of that big strength test of the NCP that has been split by Ajit Pawar. Sharad Pawar has now spoken exclusively to India today and has lashed out for the first time at his nephew Ajit Pawar, the new Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Pawar Sr. has warned NCP rebels against using his name and picture for their new outfit. Sharad Pawar says only the real NCP can use my photo. But Pawar Jr., that is Ajit Pawar, stays defiant. In fact, Sharad Pawar's photo, his portrait, was seen holding pride of place at the new NCP office inaugurated by Ajit Pawar just earlier today. So it's war that has broken out now. A line in the sand has been drawn. The Pawar versus Pawar battle has gone to the next level. Sharad Pawar says, don't you dare use my picture or my name in your new outfit. But that is precisely what Ajit Pawar has just done. Let's get a word in from India today. Sahil Joshi joining us live from Mumbai. Sahil, Ajit Pawar inaugurating, a new office, very much with Sharad Pawar's photo prominently on display. which is what Sharad Pawar, speaking exclusively to you, Sahil, has said he does not want these defectors to do?
Well, there is a specific sentence which he used while speaking to me about this particular incident, and what he said is that he's alive and it's his right, that whether he should be allowed his photograph to be used for a certain fraction or not. So his permission needs to be taken. What is happening basically is that why did he say that? Is first of all, he knows that there is still a confusion among the party workers and some of the party MLAs that whether this particular rebellion by Ajit Pawar, Prafull Patel and Dilip Walse Patil and other people, whether it actually has Sharad Pawar's blessings.
Yes.
Because Prafull Patel and Dilip Walse Patil were known to be very close to Sharad Pawar, and they are now seen with Ajit Pawar, so there is kind of a confusion. So he doesn't want that confusion to continue. That is point number one. Point number two, what we are seeing today in Mumbai, that if you come to Mumbai, right from the Mumbai airport, if you just look around, there will be multiple posters put up, having Balasaheb Thackeray's photograph prominently mentioned there. The only difference what you could understand is that one poster belongs to Uddhav Thackeray Sena, where you will see Uddhav Thackeray's photograph, and the other poster will belong to Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena, and Eknath Shinde's photo will be there below Balasaheb's photograph. So that creates a confusion which he has seen since last 1 year. He doesn't want that at least till the time he's there, he's alive, his photograph should not be used by the other fraction, and to claim that we are the real NCP. Because please understand, yesterday Prafull Patel made it very clear in the press conference, even in my interview that day,
yes,
he made it very clear that Sharad Pawar remains to be the national president of the party. It's still NCP and Sharad Pawar is the national president. Whatever has happened in Maharashtra, and Pawar remains to be the national president. The position which Sharad Pawar does not want to continue. He doesn't want that the people should get a message that his blessings were taken to do this, because that is where the rumors were going on in Delhi and various political circles. A lot of people were calling and asking whether you actually are supporting it or this is just a ploy. Again, the way we saw in 2019, the
yes,
details of 2019 coup came out. That time everybody realized that actually the discussion was on with NCP, and at 11th hour, Sharad Pawar decided, okay, I'm not going to go with the BJP,
yes,
but rather I will go with the Mahavikas Aghadi and form the Mahavikas Aghadi. So this time he doesn't want to keep any confusion alive, and he had made it very clear that do not use my photograph, use your own photographs and do whatever you want to do. Balasaheb Thackeray is a late Balasaheb Thackeray. His photograph can be used by anybody, but not Sharad Pawar, because Sharad Pawar is still alive and kicking, and he is doing multiple rallies across the state.
Okay, so it's not a legacy issue, it is a very much an action issue as far as the NCP currently is concerned, and he doesn't want it to cause any confusion. Stay with me, Sahil, for a moment. There's more breaking news coming in. Once again, Sahil's news break on how the finance portfolio has become a stubborn sticking point in this newly formed Mahayuti. Remember, the Mahayuti is the name being given to BJP plus Shinde Sena plus the new defectors from the NCP under Ajit Pawar. It's called the Mahayuti. Well, Ajit Pawar is demanding the finance portfolio, but the Shinde Sena, led by Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, has objected to the finance berth, even possibly being given to Ajit Pawar. So that demand has become a sticking point right now. Ajit Pawar is demanding the finance portfolio. How is this going to play out, Sahil, if you can give us some perspective on this? Ajit Pawar demanding the finance portfolio.
Well, there are the specific portfolios actually demanded by the NCP is first of all the finance portfolio, because Ajit Pawar was a finance minister in MBA government, but not only at this time, but even before 2014 when the Congress NCP government was in place, he held the finance portfolio with him. Now, the importance of the finance portfolio is such, specifically when the state will be going for elections after 1 year, is that the finance minister takes the decisions with respect to the release of funds to the various MLAs, to the various projects, and so almost he controls the finances of the state, not only for the state but also for the funds which are released for the MLAs to work in their constituencies. So that becomes a very key position. Please remember that last year when Shinde and his MLAs rebelled against Uddhav Thackeray government, their first complaint was against Ajit Pawar, that Ajit Pawar, being a finance minister, he was cleverly releasing all the funds only for the NCP MLAs, but not to the MLAs belong to the Shiv Sena. So they had a major complaint against Ajit Pawar at that particular time. They don't want to repeat this experience. Yesterday, after Ajit Pawar demanding finance portfolio news came out in open, many of the MLAs had raised this concern with Eknath Shinde, and then rethinking has already started. But other than finance, NCP is also asking for power. NCP is asking for cooperative department. The cooperation, basically, the cooperatives are big in Maharashtra, and that is where NCP's core strength is. So if they want to claim the legacy of NCP, they should have the cooperative portfolio, which is right now with the BJP. At the same time, NCP also wants to have higher and technical education, the irrigation, because irrigation has been a key in state like Maharashtra. And please remember, there was a mention of the irrigation scam where the BJP came to power in 2014 as an opposition leader. That is the scam on which the Devendra Fadnavis and others had made an issue against Ajit Pawar. So Ajit Pawar wants to reclaim that particular department as well. So these are the departments which has been put forward. The Home Department will continue to remain with the BJP and Devendra Fadnavis. But rest of the department, there is a problem specifically with the Shinde fraction, and that's what is going on. So it will take some day or two, I guess, at this point of time. It will take some time.
So talks are going to happen, but currently it is a sticking point. Sahil, thanks very much for getting us those inputs. Remember the Mantralaya, very close to the Mantralaya, where the new NCP office, and I'm going to say quote-unquote NCP office, because currently Sharad Pawar is still seen as the NCP leader, but this is a war over the party's identity, where a new office has been inaugurated with a picture of Sharad Pawar inside that office, against his wishes. Ritwik Bhalekar is also with me live from right outside that new NCP office. Ritwik, the picture, the big portrait of Sharad Pawar inside the new NCP office against his wishes, do you think that's going to cause any problems? Because he's not very happy about it. He has spoken to our team and said that my picture cannot be used, but his picture is being used very prominently.
Absolutely, and this is being done by NCP leaders in the Ajit Pawar camp purposefully, because there was this message from NCP Sharad Pawar camp that Sharad Pawar has instructed that without his permission, his photo should not be used by anyone in any poster or any party offices. Despite of that, we are seeing how Ajit Pawar is meeting all his supporters, and behind him is Sharad Pawar's photo. So that itself shows us that he has maintained till now, after taking oath as a deputy CM in Shinde Fadnavis government, he is still maintaining the fact that the national president of NCP is Sharad Pawar, but at the same time he is also saying that now he is enjoying the support of most of the MLAs of the party. So what does it really mean? Because he's giving us a cue that maybe Sharad Pawar is behind all this, and he's trying to tell us that not now, but sooner or later Sharad Pawar will be coming out in support with what step we have taken. So we have to see, this is a mystery to be solved. At the same time, we are also watching how in rest of the Maharashtra, the NCP supporters and the Pawar supporters are clashing on the NCP party offices which are there at the local units. So this mystery is getting more deeper and deeper, and we need to see that how the story unfolds.
Okay, Ritwik, thanks very much for getting us those inputs. Remember, there are cadres of the NCP in large numbers in Mumbai and elsewhere in Maharashtra. And like Sahil and Ritwik both told us, there is a confusion right now. There is no clarity just yet on whether this defection has Sharad Pawar's blessings or whether it does not have his blessings. Who is the real leader? Who is the real NCP? Where does the real power center lie? There are many, many layers to this unfolding story, and that's the reason why we have to be very careful as we continue to report each development that comes out from these power centers in Mumbai. Now remember, days after Ajit Pawar, 2 days after Ajit Pawar took oath as the new Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra alongside Devendra Fadnavis. He inaugurated this new NCP office in Mumbai, the one that we're talking about right now. Now, while Ajit Pawar claims he has the required numbers to avoid the anti-defection law, the Pawar faction has rejected his claim. That is the Sharad Pawar faction. Here's everything you need to know before the full strength in numbers demonstration that takes place in Mumbai tomorrow.
The stage is set for a show of strength by Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar. The two factions of the NCP have called separate meetings of MLAs in Mumbai on Wednesday. The Ajit Pawar faction claims the support of over 40 MLAs, which is more than the 36 needed to escape the anti-defection law. But the Sharad Pawar camp rejects the claim.
40च्या वर चांगला नंबर आहे. मी बोलते मैं एक काम करेल आज गेल्यावर व्यवस्थित बोलतो.
जो एक साल से महाराष्ट्र में चल रहा है, तो जिन लोगों ने मतदान किया है उनको भी ये चीज अच्छी नहीं लगी, और जब ये चीज अच्छी नहीं लगती तब वो कहते हैं कि उनका जो मतदान है वो शायद वेस्ट हो गया. और इस सिचुएशन में लड़ना भी इसी भूमि ने, इसी विचार ने हमको सिखाया है. तो कितना भी मतदारों को लगा, मैं उनको उतना ही कहूंगा कि लड़ना तो हमको है.
Even as the number crunching is still on, Ajit Pawar has got down to business, inaugurating a new NCP office near the Mantralaya, the administrative headquarters of the Maharashtra government. The inauguration, however, did not go as smoothly as imagined. The NCP workers had to break the lock and enter the office as the PWD did not give the keys on time. Shortly after the inauguration of the new NCP office, Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis held a meeting with Ajit Pawar and other newly inducted NCP ministers. Sources say the leaders discussed portfolio allocation. According to sources, the Ajit camp is likely to get the finance, planning and cooperative ministries. They have reportedly also asked for power, irrigation or higher and technical education departments.
कोई चिंता की बात नहीं है और पोर्टफोलियो अलॉट नहीं हुआ करके कोई काम रुकेगा नहीं. कुछ पोर्टफोलियो मुख्यमंत्री जी के पास है, कुछ बाकी मंत्रियों के पास है, कोई डीसीएम साहब के पास है. पोर्टफोलियो चर्चा के बाद, संवाद के बाद वितरित होंगे.
अजीत पवार फाइनेंस और प्लानिंग मांग रहे हैं, लेकिन शिंदे खेमे से जो मंत्री है वो उसका विरोध कर रहे हैं, ऐसी खबरें आ रही है.
इस पार्टी में कोई कुछ मांगता नहीं. अब आग लगाने वालों से आग बुझाने वालों की संख्या सरकार में बहुत बड़ी है.
Portfolio allocation is a hot potato, as Chief Minister Shinde's Shiv Sena is wary of handing over key ministries to the NCP, who has been their political rivals for decades. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now remember, political observers are saying that what's happening in Maharashtra right now may just be a precursor to a domino effect of similar defections or breakages in regional parties in different parts of the country on the road to 2024. After the Maharashtra stunner, the larger NDA, that is the BJP-led coalition, is in the making before the 2024 election. Days after the JDS chief hinted at a possibility of a similar situation in Karnataka, Yediyurappa's big announcement now. He says the BJP will come together with the JDS to address core issues in the state in the future. Remember, the Congress just a few weeks ago won a massive mandate in Karnataka. Kumaraswamy, former chief minister who was in a coalition with the Congress party, has also taken a swipe at Ajit Pawar in Maharashtra, whose controversial split from the NCP to the BJP this weekend has set the cat among the pigeons. It has weakened Sharad Pawar's hold on the NCP. Well, his latest remarks and anti-Congress stance come as a clear indication that the JDS intends to not hold hands with the Congress party ever again, at least in the foreseeable future, while joining hands with the BJP could still be on the cards. But what's really buzzing in the state of Karnataka?
2018, 19, anybody dreamt that my government will go collapse? Same thing in Madhya Pradesh. Same thing in Maharashtra is going on. Here also, Ajit Pawar type of person may emerge in future days. For that, actually, we have to wait and watch. I don't want to particularly name anybody. Anything may happen.
But how soon, sir?
It will not going to take too much time. Mostly this year end also it may create. Otherwise, after Parliament election, it will create.
Whatever Kumaraswamy is telling is the truth, and I want to support Kumaraswamy's statement. And Kumaraswamy and we together will fight in future.
Polami is live with us to make sense of this. Polami, what is Kumaraswamy talking about? He says, who's the Ajit Pawar going to be in Karnataka? You've got Yediyurappa sort of nodding along and agreeing with him as well. What's going on? What sense do you make of this?
Well, as far as the JDS is concerned, Shiv, it has been somehow making its position clear with little instances here and there as to which way it's tilting now, especially when it didn't go with the Congress ahead of the Karnataka Assembly elections. I remember the interview that H.D. Kumaraswamy gave our colleague Nagarjun in Bangalore ahead of the Assembly elections. He had categorically stated that I'm in touch with everyone. The BJP is in touch with me. The Congress is in touch with me. And later, subsequent to the Karnataka results, there was the position that the JDS took. For instance, it attended the new parliament inauguration program where many other opposition parties in fact stayed away from it, saying that the Prime Minister is not the authority to have been inaugurating the new parliament building. The JDS attended that program. Then of course the former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda's statement after the Balasore tragedy, when everyone from the opposition seemed to be attacking the central government, and specifically Ashwini Vaishnav, the railways minister, H.D. Devegowda said his is not the fault over here. Let's not target the minister. Let's try and understand what went down. Let's investigate the matter first. Asking for his resignation is not going to do away with what has already happened, the unfortunate tragedy that has claimed so many lives. So clearly the JDS has been positioning itself in the way that that is tilting towards the NDA. And it's not surprising over there, Shiv, because as far as the BJP is concerned, it has opened back-channel conversations with a lot of political parties, some who were part of the NDA earlier, which includes the TDP in Andhra Pradesh, which includes also the Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab. Rajbhar today, of course, from Uttar Pradesh, dropped the cat among the pigeons when he, of course, indicated he could be going back to the NDA. Also, what we hear from Bihar is that there is pressure from within the JDU camp on Nitish Kumar to go back to the NDA fold ahead of the Lok Sabha election. So clearly, as far as the NDA is concerned, the BJP is working already and is having a lot of back-channel conversations, and JDS definitely is in touch with the BJP.
Very, very interesting, all these movers and shakers right before the 2024 election. The next 10 months are going to be absolutely electrifying.
India attacked on US soil. Now cowards firebomb embassy. Second San Francisco attack in 4 months. K-Rogues go berserk. Hit list released. Top Indian diplomats on K-Army radar. India versus Khalistan hate mongers. Top focus on 5 Live.
Khalistan Tiger Force Chief Hardeep Singh Nijjar was in the parking lot of a Gurudwara in Canada's Surrey when he was bumped off. Paramjit Singh Panjwar was near his Lahore home when 2 gunmen opened fire and cut short his routine morning walk. A few months before him in Lahore, another Khalistani leader, Harmeet Singh, was bumped off in a Gurdwara premises in Pakistan. Avtar Singh Khanda, diagnosed with terminal cancer, died in a British hospital, though his death is also being blamed on an act of possible poisoning. Nijjar, Panjwar, Khanda and Harmeet, 4 prominent Khalistani terrorists who've died mysteriously abroad in recent months. Now, the deaths come amid a surge in anti-India activities by the groups headed by these 4 terrorists. They also come at a time when India has vowed to take action, strong action, against Khalistani terrorists who've attacked India's missions and were trying to revive militancy in Punjab. These so-called Khalistanis have uniformly blamed India's intelligence agencies for conducting these targeted assassinations of these 4 terrorist cowards. Now, nobody can confirm or deny if this is indeed true. Did RAW do it? Did India's intelligence agencies conduct these assassinations? Intelligence operations happen, viewer, as you know, in a shadowy world in shades of grey. What I can say is that the journalist in me definitely sees a pattern here. 4 big Khalistani terrorists bumped off on their own turf in the span of just a few months means these aren't coincidental by any stretch. Whether this is an incredibly organized spate of punitive killings by the Indian state to send out a message to Khalistani cowards, or a gentle reminder of what the Indian state can and will unleash when push comes to shove, when our embassies are attacked, when our people are harmed, or something else entirely that has nothing to do with the research and analysis wing or the Indian state or Indian intelligence agencies. Nobody can tell, and I certainly cannot. I can only speculate. But as these so-called Khalistanis get set to march to Toronto and brandish posters of our officials, dangerously publishing their details and calling for murder against Indian citizens, these groups are probably missing the fact that the 4 deaths of those 4 Khalistani terrorists may well just be an appetizer for what could possibly lie ahead. The latest provocation now, viewer, is a blaze that has been set by Khalistani groups in the San Francisco consulate of India in the United States. That's a video put out by local TV station VR News of the blaze that was set by Khalistani thugs in San Francisco. In the wake of it, they've also put out pictures of Indian officials, from the Indian ambassador to the United States, to the Indian consul general in San Francisco, to the Indian ambassador in Canada, to other diplomats working in that country, calling for their killing, calling for violence against India, calling for murder and blood spillage. All of this in support of a march to Toronto by Khalistani thugs in the wake of their 4 leaders who've all been bumped off by we don't know who. Watch this report. A big blaze at the Indian consulate in San Francisco, California. The second such attack on the same consulate in the last 3 months. These images, courtesy local American channel Diya TV, said the video was released by Khalistani terrorists in the US. The act of arson was carried out after hours and was contained quickly with no injuries to anyone. But the act itself has lit a major diplomatic and political fire. Coming as it does just days after the highly successful Modi-Biden Millen in the US. The United States has strongly condemned the incident.
भारत सिखों को बचाने में विश्वास रखता है, ना कि उनका नुकसान पहुंचाने में। इसलिए ये जो लोग कर रहे हैं, ये भारत के भी दुश्मन हैं, सिखों के भी दुश्मन हैं और ये आईएसआई की हालतों में खेलने वाले लोग हैं। मैं विदेशों में बैठे सिखों से आग्रह करता हूं, ऐसे लोगों को आइडेंटिफाई किया जाए और उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए जो हम सिखों को बदनाम करने का काम कर रहे हैं।
Only 3 months ago, as the Punjab police launched a nationwide search for Amritpal Singh in India, Khalistani terrorists vandalized this same Indian consulate building in San Francisco. Videos surfaced of a huge crowd attacking the consulate as Punjabi music blared in the background. A huge piece of graffiti read "Free Amritpal" was spray painted on the outer wall. Protesters shouting pro-Khalistan slogans broke through security barriers to install 2 Khalistani banners inside the consulate premises. They also hit the door and windows with iron rods. The National Investigation Agency, which believes the 2 attacks are almost definitely linked, may soon dispatch a team to the US to conduct an up-close investigation. While those responsible for these attacks are little more than unemployed thugs who owe allegiance to a desperate cause, the Indian government will be treating such incidents as a serious provocation. especially since Khalistani terror groups have now pulled a fresh stunt, publishing the photographs of India's ambassador to the United States, India's Consul General in San Francisco, as well as our diplomats in Canada, all in a desperate effort to raise temperatures ahead of a march to the Indian mission in Toronto this Saturday. Canada, notoriously soft on Khalistani terrorists, has released a statement condemning the dangerous calls to violence against diplomats.
हमारे जो पार्टनर देश जो हैं, जैसे कनाडा है, अमेरिका है, यूके है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया है, जहां कभी-कभी खालिस्तानी एक्टिविटीज होती हैं, हमने उनको रिक्वेस्ट की है कि वो उनको खालिस्तानियों को स्पेस न दें, क्योंकि उनकी सोच जो है ये रैडिकल एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा जो है वो ना हमारे लिए अच्छा है, ना उनके लिए है, ना हमारे रिश्तों के लिए है.
With 4 major Khalistani terrorist leaders bumped off mysteriously in the last few months, a dead cause is gasping for breath, desperate for attention and pulling every kind of stunt possible. But when they attack Indian property and issue suparis on our officials, they must face the consequences. Bureau Report, India Today. Well, 4 prominent Khalistanis coincidentally in the last 6 months have all died mysteriously. Many of these Khalistani groups are pointing a finger directly at India, saying it was India's India's covert operations that have managed to bump off these 4 Khalistani thugs in order to send out a warning to Khalistani groups not to provoke any more in the US, UK, Canada, Australia and elsewhere. Let's get an expert view, but before that I want to introduce you to my guests today to get their perspective on what India has done and what India can do. Lieutenant General Kamaljeet Singh is former Army Commander, Western Army Command. Manbir Singh Kohli is a broadcaster in Sydney. He's also an expert on many of the things that have been happening there vis-a-vis Khalistani groups. Gaurav Sawant is someone who's been looking extremely closely at the Indian state's response to these many provocations and attacks in different parts of the world. But before I go to our 3 guests, I want to give you an overview of some of the actions or options that India has against Khalistanis, because one of the most common questions that viewers and many people might have is, what can India actually do? Now, in terms of diplomatic actions, and I'm listing things that have either are possible for India to do or have already been activated in some form or the other. Number 1, we can pressure nations like the US, UK, Australia, Canada to book these Khalistani terrorists and thugs. Number 2, you can push the US, Canada, UK to clamp down on, what are a very, very small part of large Indian populations in these countries. Get green cards, residency permits cancelled. Put pressure on those embassies, put pressure on those governments. We can pursue deportation of these so-called Khalistanis back to India. Remember, there's a very, very clear definition that I want to make. There are many who try and conflate Khalistanis with the larger Sikh population in these countries. Nothing could be further from the truth, viewer. Never fall for that narrative. These Khalistanis, those who owe allegiance to small, narrow terror impulses, are extremely small minorities. Most of them are outcasts within their community and they pursue these violent goals against India. They have nothing to do with the Sikh community. Let's make that very clear. Now, here are some direct action options that India has. Now, remember, many of these things are very easy to say, but they remain theoretically options. Number 1, cancel visas and origin, overseas citizen of India cards, OCI cards. Get the Indian government to cancel them. Identify these people, surgically find out where they live, cancel their visas and residency permits. Number 2, seize their properties. Find out who these Khalistani thugs are in London, in Toronto, Brampton, San Francisco, wherever. Find out what their linkages are back here in India. Seize those properties, put the pressure on them and their families here. Number 3, freeze their bank accounts. Many of these thugs have to send money back home to their families, to their grandparents, whatever it is. Find out what it is in as humane a way as possible. Turn the screws, apply the pressure, freeze their bank accounts and their assets. Once you start clamping down on the money, see how these cowards fall in line. Number 4, and this is something that's theoretical, and this is what these 4 deaths have been blamed on India. Covert assassination operations. There's always the there's always the option of India taking matters into its own hands and conducting covert operations in other countries to bump off these Khalistanis. This is easier said than done, viewer. I'm of course sitting in a studio and talking about it, but remember, in the real world, these are all very much options before the Indian security establishment. Now let's go across first to Gaurav Sawant, who's with me. Gaurav, the San Francisco consulate set ablaze. Pictures of Indian diplomats in the US and Canada put on public display, practically a supari being published by these Khalistani groups before that big march on July the 8th. How has the Indian state responded? What are they planning to do?
Shiv, the Indian state has responded with a lot of concern and anger. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, he said that India expects Canada to take action against the perpetrators and said that this will impact relationship. This clearly, Shiv, is also a violation of the Vienna Convention on diplomatic security. If our diplomats are not safe, if our embassies and consulates are not safe, and remember, they've been targeted in London, they've been targeted in San Francisco, our diplomats are being threatened in Canada, and Shiv, this is something that India has been raising for decades. In fact, when Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, was Prime Minister of England, late Indira Gandhi had raised the issue of Khalistan terror with Pierre Trudeau. Unfortunately, not much was done then. Sadly, not much is being done now, except that the government is taking up this issue very seriously, warning countries that there will be consequences, and India's National Investigation Agency is carrying out an independent investigation, whether in San Francisco or in London, the attack on our missions, and expects governments like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Canada to jointly carry out an investigation and come up with the truth and take action against the perpetrators.
Very interesting. The concern has been expressed. Consequences have been threatened. 4, Khalistani terrorists have been bumped off. There appears to be a pattern, but nobody knows who did it. The Khalistanis think the Indian intelligence agencies are responsible, but basically the temperatures are up on this issue, and a big march is going to be mounted in Toronto against the Indian High Commission there. General Singh, if I could come to you now, sir, your perspective on this latest provocation in San Francisco, and what, in your view, General, are India's diplomatic and or direct actions, sir?
Shiv, Jai Hind. Thank you for including me in this program. You have raised a very relevant and pertinent issue. It's a very cowardly kind of an attack in the, in the hours, night hours.
Yeah.
And you're attacking a consulate. A consulate is a place where people from 12 states, I visited that consulate, receive various visa and consular facilities. It covers Silicon Valley and such important areas of USA. And also, you have used an incendiary device, a firebomb kind of thing. It's good that US Fire Department responded in time. There are families and other people who are part of consulate. There are a large number of civilians who are present there. And then you do this kind of activity, and see, these people have no morals or ethics or no values. In Canada, they put out the photograph of our Consul General, who's a lady, Apurva Srivastava. And earlier, what they have done in Brampton, they had put Mrs. Gandhi at the receiving end. So you have to, this is not what Sikhism teaches us. We are not supposed to do such cowardly kind of activities. Indian government has taken some good measures. They have put pressure, but most important thing that I saw is that NIA is going to go to San Francisco, because whatever we do, we have to provide evidence for international dossiers to be given to Interpol, to be given to other agencies, to name and shame. There is certain amount of vote bank compulsion also in these countries.
Of course,
which somehow retards the action which should be taken. So NIA, when it goes there, puts pressure on these agencies. that if you won't do it, we'll certainly do it. It's our concern. And while I don't say that our agencies have done this thing, but people who live by sword should be prepared to perish by sword.
Very, very important point that you're making, sir. Manbir Singh Kohli, Australia has also, been no stranger to attacks and vandalism of this kind. You've, tracked many of these things happening there. Do you feel the Indian state can do more, sir? What is your perspective on this? Because it's happening chiefly in these four countries, the US, UK, Australia and Canada.
Yeah. Thank you, Shiv, for including me on this. And it's quite a sad discussion, though. But congratulations on your book, Operation Jinn. I've just started reading it.
Thank you.
But at the outset, it's quite deplorable. And any action that hurts or is a threat to civilians, I think needs to be condemned at the outset. And this is quite disgusting. And what it's doing, like Lieutenant General Singh said, that it's bringing a bad name to the Sikhs, who are very hard-working, peace-loving, and great citizens of India. True. So it's dividing our communities. And I think from that standpoint, I deplore this action. Any action that sort of is targeting our consulate is bringing a bad name to the Sikh community.
Yeah.
And my question always remains, and this has happened in Australia too, we've had cases of vandalism. And unfortunately, the perpetrators, the culprits, have not been identified. I wait for the day when they'll be caught and deported if need be. But, I mean, of course, the government of India is putting pressure. We've got great diplomatic resources. And Prime Minister Modi, when he was in Australia, appealed to our Prime Minister Albanese at the highest level to stop these attacks. But what amazes me is that at the local level, why are these culprits not being caught? In this day and age when there's so much surveillance across the world, why can't a person who's undertaking that action 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, why aren't they identified and caught?
Yeah. I think you make an excellent and very, very specific point. We're going to leave it there for the moment, but I know for a fact that the Indian government will be watching this show because I get feedback, from the security establishment about the things we raise and the people we bring on. Surveillance, if you live by the sword, be prepared to die by the sword, which is, I think, one of the most significant things that can be said in the aspect of what has basically taken place at this point of time. Remember that this Saturday is going to be that big march in Toronto by a large number of these Khalistanis against the Indian High Commission, and Canada is helpless to do anything about it. This despite a practical supari being published against Indian officials. That is the state of things in Canada. And I think the word that was mentioned by both General Singh and Manbir Singh Kohli is extremely important. This has nothing to do with the Sikh community. The Sikh community are proud citizens of India and citizens of the countries in which they have chosen to live, and they have nothing to do with this tiny minority of terrorists who owe no allegiance to anything but violence against India. Let that be very, very clear to everyone watching this.